Welcome to Living Our Faith with Archbishop Jerome Listecki. The latest news, important issues, and stories of Catholics living their faith in the Archdiocese of Milwaukee. Here's co-host Bob Bennis.
It's another Wisconsin weekend here in the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, and it's time for conversation about our faith, the liturgical calendar, and the people who, like us, make up our Catholic faith. Today we're going to talk about stewardship, Catholic stewardship, and seeing with God's eyes, which is the Catholic Stewardship Appeal theme this year. Before we introduce our guests, and we've got a room full of people here today, we want to introduce the host of our show, Archbishop Jerome Listecki. Good morning, Archbishop.
Well, good morning, Bob. Excuse me, the voice a little bit. It's allergy season.
It is.
Obviously, so the voice sounds a little raspy. So those who are listening, please do not adjust your dial. It'll kind of return when those with a little bit better speaking voices will be on for us. And it's really a wonderful time in May because for us it's ordination, which is a tremendous aspect for the Archdiocese. Not only is it commemorative of the ordinations that have gone on before, there's kind of a sense of the anniversary spirit of the priest of the Archdiocese. But at the same time, we will be ordaining tomorrow two men for service to the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, and a couple with diverse careers. So we may kind of think about having them on sometimes maybe in the summer when after they've gotten their legs underneath them and they've gotten experience to being called father and respond to that. But one is a former doctor, pediatrician, and the other comes to us by way of Venezuela. So both of them have tremendous vocational stories.
I've met one of them. I met the former doctor, and it's a fascinating story. So I think you've got a good idea there to come up and bring them in about 3 months and see how things are going.
Once they get their legs out with them, they're firmly, at least somewhat firmly implanted in the priesthood.
And today we want to talk about the Catholic Stewardship Appeal, and I'm happy to be at this same table, not only with you, Archbishop, but also with Father Paul Hartmann. Father Paul is the president of Catholic Memorial High School. We also have Father Philip Bogacki, and Father Philip is the pastor at Christ King Church in Wauwatosa. And then we also have the Stewardship Appeal Director approaching the start of his 10th year as the appeal director, Rob Bowman.
Gentlemen, time flies when you're having fun, huh?
It does.
Rob,
it does.
Isn't that it?
Yes, that is
and
true.
Philip, I want to tell you, when I was there at your parish celebrating your anniversary, I was chastised immediately by some of the parishioners because I kept on saying Christ the King, and I was told to really Christ King. Now, where does that come from?
So when the parish was founded, there was a Lutheran church in the area called Christ the King. So I guess the parish decided they didn't want to do it. But I like Christ the King a little bit better. So in the middle of the night, I think I want to steal the article from their from their sign sometime.
Okay,
just
good.
to take it back.
Very good, very good. Father Paul, you filled in on this program in the past, and we appreciate that. You're also a contributor to Relevant Radio, have been for over probably 10 years now, so you've got some experience behind the microphone, but give us a little update on your background, your biography, so to speak.
My biography, well, right now my main responsibility is at Catholic Memorial High School, but I also serve as the judicial vicar of the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, have been in that role for 13 years now, I believe. And before that, I was actually, when I was young and newly ordained, I was at Christ King. In Wauwatosa as my first assignment. But have spent most of my career in specialized work, specialized ministry, which has really been a blessing to travel the diocese. I was just telling the Archbishop the other day, today is the Feast of St. Isidore, and last month I was up in the Holy Land, where St. Isidore Parish is, and it's a wonderful, wonderful set of communities. I was up there for a confirmation.
And aren't you also chaplain for the Thomas More Society?
I'm chaplain for the lawyers, the Thomas More Lawyer Society. I did work chaplaincy with the Boys Scouts and Girl Scouts and the Knights of Malta, so I keep myself connected. I teach at Marquette Law School on occasion, so try to keep myself busy and out of trouble.
Father Paul also was actually was in studies 2 years in Catholic University in Washington, D.C., where he studied. So when we do the March for Life, and Father Paul is there with me, he starts pointing out the various places that were kind of like his special places. His
all chapels and libraries and museums.
Not restaurants.
Some nice restaurants, yes, some very nice restaurants.
Yeah, and Father Philip, we talked a little bit, but give us your background. Tell us your story, please.
Sure. I'm from Milwaukee. Went to Marquette University. I have an accounting degree, which I find so very useful as a pastor, as useful as a theology degree sometimes, but very helpful. I spent a year at St. Francis de Sales Seminary when I entered after college, and then for the next 5 years I was in Louvain, Belgium at the American College of the Immaculate Conception, doing seminary studies there. It was a wonderful experience, and came back here. Was ordained in August of 2008. My first assignment was at St. John Vianney Parish in Brookfield. I was there for 4 years. A wonderful experience, great community. It's a home parish of Father Paul Hartmann. No statue in the basement quite yet. Yeah. I worked on it.
I'm glad you said in the basement. That's where it belonged.
And I've been 2 years at Christ King in Wauwatosa, and just a really blessed experience, a wonderful place, and a growing part of the city as well. It's fun to be there, and young people are moving in, and it's great to evangelize and to bring them into the church. It's an exciting place.
Father Phil has a wonderful sense of humility with our priests, although we tease back and forth, but they don't pound their chest kind of thing. But Father Phil was named administrator and pastor of Christ King, the parish, at an extremely young age in the priesthood. Most of the time, you finish 3 years. Maybe you get basically an assignment after it. He took on one of the largest parishes in the Archdiocese after only being ordained 3 years, and then coming over and taking on Christ King. And he's done a wonderful job. The spirit of Christ King is wonderful. I was there for their anniversary, and at the anniversary you can just tell, and a lot of it comes from leadership. You can take a look at our parishes all throughout the Archdiocese. It comes from leadership which kind of offers a vision, and people kind of going ahead and following that vision, a vision which is rooted in the gospel.
And I spent 3 years there every Thursday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning as part of a men's group. And I got to witness firsthand the vibrancy that is there, the range of men, young men, older men, all coming together on behalf of fellowship and the Catholic faith. Now, we talk about Catholic stewardship, and it takes place at school level. Father Paul knows that. It takes place at parish level. Father Philip knows that. But some of the heavy lifting gets done right here in the walls of the Archdiocese. And, Rob, that's where you come in. Tell us about yourselves. Tell us your story.
Well, I serve as the Catholic Stewardship Appeal Director for the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, and I do manage the Stewardship Appeal campaign. It's the annual campaign for the Archdiocese of Milwaukee for ministry. And I have been here, as you mentioned, I'm starting my 10th year. Have been in development fundraising for probably more than 20 years. So, but it's been wonderful work. It's been very gratifying. And we've raised a lot of money to support the good works of the church. So it's been going very well this year. We made gold the last 2 years. So we're pushing for a third year in a row that we're going to do that.
Congratulations.
And to make gold during a time when we're still feeling the effects of the little bit of that crash that occurred, to be able to make gold is not only a testimony to our stewardship and development office, but also to the confidence that our people have in the church. But you have to put the story before them, Rob, isn't that so?
Yes, right. As I tell a lot of people, program ministry is first and foremost when it comes to raising money. If you did not have those things, there would be no reason for me to go out or our development team to go out and ask for money.
And when you talk about program ministry for the benefit of the audience, explain that, if you would, in just a little bit more detail.
Well, some of the ministries that the appeal supports is obviously seminary formation, and Father Phil can speak to that directly through his formation through St. Francis de Sales Seminary, the programs of Catholic Charities, programs in the John Paul II Center, which diaconate formation, marriage preparation, parish religious education programs, our wonderful schools office. So it really goes to a wide range of ministries that support literally tens of thousands of
Catholic
people.
Charities is another, a tremendous kind of pull besides the seminaries and those 4 pillars that are always held out by the stewardship appeal, and people sometimes are amazed of that all of these works are being funded basically through the Catholic Stewardship appeal.
Right, and that's what we try to we educate people. We try to raise awareness of the appeal. It's the appeal has been around for 80 years. It started way back in, I think, the mid-1930s during the Great Depression. Obviously, it's changed much over time. To today, we're raising, almost $8 million. To get that story out and to make people aware that, look at the breadth and depth of funds that go to support ministry in the Archdiocese of Milwaukee. A lot of people still don't know that. We do a lot of things to try to make that story known through, obviously, with our See With God's Eyes, which is our appeal theme. And we always try to find a way to
draw people in, and the aspect of the idea of Pope Francis.
Yes.
Who talked, basically, that was his basically theme, that he wants to see with God's eyes. And this coming year, it's always constantly the aspect of Jesus. And in looking at his announcement of Divine Mercy Sunday, it's kind of seeing those in need with God's eyes, and basically reaching out to them.
Right.
There is a beautiful video that you were part of, Archbishop.
I'm glad you said that. I'm up for an award. I don't know whether it's going to be an Emmy or a Tony. I didn't sing in it, so it won't be a Tony. But a Webby. It'll be a Webby. It's up for Webby.
And now what we'd like to do is have you listen to a clip from that video, which is at archmill.org, right there on the homepage of the Archdiocesan website.
The first gift of the Holy Spirit is wisdom. Pope Francis tells us wisdom is the grace of being able to see everything, the world and the people around us, with the all-encompassing love of our Creator. To see with God's eyes. Last summer, Catholics from more than 200 parishes, schools, and organizations across the Archdiocese gathered to determine priorities for our church here in southeastern Wisconsin. In each mission area studied, there emerged the desire for all Catholics to know their faith, to be formed in their faith, and to take action. We're called to see with God's eyes, to listen with God's ears, and most importantly, to act so that all will see the face of God through us.
And we are back just in time to take a break, and then we'll have the news from around the Archdiocese of Milwaukee from our friends at the Catholic Herald. You're listening to Living Our Faith with Archbishop Jerome Listecki here on Relevant Radio.
Hospice. It's the one word that people are afraid to say out loud. Yet for someone who has experienced St. Camilla's Hospice, it takes on a whole new meaning.
We chose St. Camilla's Hospice because it was home hospice. I think it would have broken Lois's heart if she had to leave and go to a strange place. And one of the things that we particularly appreciated was the Catholic help that we got when Lois was in hospice. We had pastoral help. We had chaplains who were absolutely fantastic. They were also friendly. The hospice care was as good for Lois as it was for me.
Hospice care is a physical and spiritual journey, not just for the patient, but for an entire family. St. Camilla's Hospice provides compassionate care right in your loved one's own home. All caregivers and resources are thoughtfully selected from the St. Camilla's community, which continues to serve your family long after the physical care has ended. To learn more, go to relevantradio.com, keyword hospice.
Good morning. As we celebrate the feast of St. Isidore the Farmer, I'm Grace David with headlines from the Catholic Herald and CatholicHerald.org. It's a big weekend for the Archdiocese of Milwaukee as Archbishop Jerome Listecki ordains 2 brand new priests to serve the church in southeastern Wisconsin. The ordinandi are Deacon Mauricio Fernandez Bascan and Deacon Dennis Saran. Deacon Fernandez is a 32-year-old native of Venezuela. He came to the United States 5 years ago and completed his studies at the Sacred Heart School of Theology. Deacon Saran is a 59-year-old Chicago native and a retired pediatrician. In an interesting twist, even though he's a brand new priest, he's used to people calling him father because he's actually a dad with 3 adult children. Both Fernandez and Saran came to the priesthood through fascinating paths and believe their experiences will help them serve parishioners in unique and wonderful ways. Read their compelling life stories in the Catholic Herald and at CatholicHerald.org. Speaking of the priesthood, all of us at the Catholic Herald are wishing Archbishop Listecki a very happy 40th anniversary. The Archbishop was ordained in the Archdiocese of Chicago on May 14, 1975, by the late Cardinal John Cody, and he served there as a priest and auxiliary bishop until 2001. Then, after Father Jerry's elevation to Bishop of La Crosse, he became our Archbishop 9 years later. Enjoy kind words and dozens of congratulatory messages for Archbishop Listecki in this week's Catholic Herald and at CatholicHerald.org. So, just how much of an impact does Pope Francis have on people around the world? Well, earlier this week, he went with Cuban President Raul Castro. Later that day, Castro told reporters that he'll happily attend Mass when Francis visits his country later this year. The Cuban leader said he was touched by the Holy Father's wisdom, humility, and virtues. He also said that if Pope Francis keeps it up, that he might turn away from the Cuban Communist Party, start praying again, and return to the Catholic Church. Pope Francis will visit Cuba as part of his trip to North America for the World Meeting of Families in Philadelphia in September. At the top of the headlines, we mentioned the feast of St. Isidore the Farmer. At this time, as spring brings us fresh, new blooms, let us remember to offer prayers of thanksgiving for those who work the land and grow our food. Let's also pray for bountiful harvests and sharing spirits, so that all may have enough to eat. Until next time, this is Grace David inviting you to read the Catholic Herald and to visit CatholicHerald.org. And now we return to Living Our Faith with Archbishop Listecki.
Thank you very much, Grace, and welcome back to Living Our Faith with Archbishop Jerome Listecki. We're joined here in the studio by Father Paul Hartmann, the president of Catholic Memorial High School. Father Philip Bogacki is the pastor at Christ King in Wauwatosa, and the appeal director for the Archdiocese, Rob Bowman.
Now, just Bob, to let you know, when I came here to the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, everybody says, well, what's your vision? I said, well, the vision is the gospel. It's already kind of established. But I kind of have 3 little priorities in terms of the leadership, shepherding people. And I threw out three priorities. Now, I'm going to ask the priest here, put him on the spot, and I'm going to ask the priest here. And since Father Phil's the youngest,
we'll pick on him first.
I think his memory probably be the sharpest. Father Paul's a little older. So do you remember
used to think I was your age.
Yeah, that's right. Father Phil, do you remember those 3 priorities?
So in front of my boss, of course I do. Sure. Catholic identity, evangelization, and stewardship. And all joking aside, those are wonderful priorities now that are being lived out through the Archdiocesan Synod, which was such an exciting event in 2014 and now being implemented and lived out, but stewardship lived out in particular through our support of the local church. I get really excited, truly excited as a pastor every February when that DVD comes out that we show in parishes where we can. That's available on the Archdiocesan website because it's a chance to remind the good people of God the great work that the church does all throughout the world. One of the greatest charities, healthcare providers, educators, but here within the local church, all those wonderful ways in which the church acts. And the DVD communicates that so well. Seeing with God's Eyes did that so well, and it's exciting. And I think when people see that and when we communicate that excitement of the work of the local church, people are excited to support that and to engage in it and participate and be part of it in a very concrete way through their financial stewardship, their stewardship to the local parish, but their stewardship to the local church and the Catholic Stewardship Appeal. So it's exciting, and I think when people know the mission, they know in particular the mission right now that's being focused on of Catholic identity, evangelization, and stewardship, people are getting more and more excited about supporting that in very concrete ways. And I hope we always have broader support too of many parishioners. I know one of the concerns always is we want to make sure this isn't a capital appeal. This isn't just large gifts, but everyone in the pews is invested in the work of the Archdiocese and in a concrete way in whatever they can contribute.
I'm glad you said that, and thank you for giving your remarks about the DVD. Actually, a little insight, and then maybe we can encourage people to go to that website and to view it. a drone was actually used to shoot the DVD, and I was just amazed at watching the people who were basically producing the video and to kind of use that drone as a way to look over. It turned out to be really wonderful.
It's very well done, and as beautiful as that is, that's just a small part of the great work of the local church. That's what's so great about it. As wonderful as that is, and the things that are emphasized in this year's particular DVD, it's adjusted every year. Just a small part of the great work that the church does, and the appeal supports that in concrete ways.
Father Paul, Rob, no one likes to ask for money. I think if I were to sit down and talk to most of the pastors, they probably would tell you that the thing that that's least favorite in terms of what they have to do is to get up at that pulpit and to ask for funds.
Well, it seems so counterintuitive to the message, to the ministry. We can all make the priest will gather and comment on somehow it always works out that the Sunday that we have the gospel about Jesus driving the money changers out of the temple, all the announcements then are, well, the bake sale and the kids are doing this and that right after in the narthex. Yeah. It just seems to encounter. But I have found, and it was very hard moving to the high school work for years being in the back office work here at the tribunal, working for the Archbishop Dolan and then Archbishop Listecki, but people want to be a part of impact in the secular world, in the sports world. It's success breeds success, and our communities, our faithful, truly want to be part of the impact that the church can have, and if we can make that case to them, then they're very willing and they're very comfortable. As Father Phil said, they do understand, maybe not in the same pluses and minuses of their retirement account, but they understand the investment and that it multiplies, it returns manyfold because they support good priests who can preach well. They support good programs that reach into needy communities. They support the church's mission and ministry. And I guess the corollary to success breeds success, impact breeds greater impact. And that's what every person of faith wants to do. They may not be able to be the hands going to a faraway place with Catholic relief services or into the inner cities with Catholic charities. They should be, they can in any way they can, but they also know I can support my parish, my community, my local church, both large on the Archdiocese or small at their parish or even their little mission church.
But here's the secret. If we understand stewardship as a way of life and as a spiritual endeavor, we need to understand that God will never be outdone in his generosity. And the more that we give, the more that we receive. That's the secret. That's in our time. If we give the Lord 5 minutes of prayer, he gives us back 6 minutes of time during the day. I can say from personal experience, I've given some stretched gifts to my parish, to Catholic Memorial High School, that made me sweat a little bit. And I'm amazed at how things worked out, how in a couple of cases that money appeared, but that's God being generous in many other ways. And
I love that term, sweat gift. I love it. No, I really do. I really do, because we're all there. Can I give that extra $50? Can I give that extra $100? And you stretch. You said, I'm going to do it because I understand the need. And you're right. It's sweat because I'm going to have to try to find that $50 or that $100. But God is generous, Phil.
He'll never be outdone in his generosity, and we always give proportionate to the way that we can give. Some of us, there's no magic number. Some can give more, some can give less, and that's fine. It's always a lot. We're being generous to the Lord.
How do you encourage your parishioners? How do you get them involved? You get up on Sunday. Obviously, it's got to be. Yeah, and having been a pastor and share that role, it's uncomfortable, But how do you do it?
Well, I think first of all, not to be afraid to ask for money. It's not money; it's a spiritual reality. It's giving of ourselves, and when we're generous, God will be generous back. But to remind them of the larger mission of the church. This is an exciting time for the church. We've got a wonderful Archbishop. We've got wonderful movement from. Remember, my boss is here. Well, a wonderful vision for the next 10 years with the Archdiocesan Synod and direction. Somebody made a comment. They said, boy, we're seeing activity at the Cousin Center in just a wonderful way. The place is alive, but also the work of the Archdiocese and the Stewardship Appeal affects our parishioners. You know, that visit that you made, your gas to come out here, your salary, your time, that's the work of the Stewardship Appeal, as simple as that. Dr. Sapalka, who's so amazing in the support of our Catholic schools, the offices that I use every day, the phone calls, it impacts our parishioners in what may seem like small ways, but it brings it all together. It makes my work easier, the work of the parish easier, and the good support of Rob Ullman and in generating support for the Archdiocese. But it impacts our parish in very concrete ways. And I need to remind parishioners of that, and they're supportive of that when they know that. But we always need to be positive. We can't be pessimistic, I think, about asking for money for the right things. This is a good endeavor, the work of the local church. Why would we not be excited?
Yeah, I would fully agree with what Father Phil says. I mean, it's really not difficult to ask for money when you know what that money is going to be used for. It's more than a financial transaction for people. It's a faith response. They want to help the church. They want to see the church succeed. I have met with some of the most generous and faithful people when I go out to meet with them. Mm-hmm. It's just incredible, their faith stories, the reasons why, what motivates them to give to the church. Most of them are just, I wanted to give back. I want to give back. I'm at a time in my life where I feel I need to do more. I want to do more.
This is an exciting time, and people are getting caught up in that excitement. The ability of clergy, of lay leadership, of the average parishioner in the pew to say, we're moving the whole church, that's affirming, that's exciting, and then everything else becomes, it snowballs. It becomes easier to get volunteers, to get catechists, to get people to participate in formation and spiritual programs. It gets easier. I don't think it's ever truly easy for me to say, can I have some money? But it gets easier for people to say, I'm willing to do this.
You see the energy, you feel the energy, and when that happens, there's something ignited within inside you, and you say, yes, I have to be a part of this. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Living Our Faith here on Relevant Radio.
Are you or a loved one struggling with age-related challenges? St. Camilla's Geriatric Care Managers are here to partner with seniors and their families to help manage the many challenges and transitions associated with aging and health care. Jean explains how St. Camilla's Geriatric Care Management assisted her father.
People want to maintain their independence, and that's what he wanted. And that was the most important thing for him. However, at times he didn't know what was safest or best for him. And that's when we really leaned on care management, and they were able to help us so much. They were able to establish a trusting, caring relationship with my father, and we were able to trust and know that with their guidance, we would be able to keep my father safe in his own apartment.
For more information regarding St. Camilla's Geriatric Care Management, go to relevantradio.com, keyword care. That's keyword care.
Welcome back to Living Our Faith, and as always, this half hour flies by. It repeats again tomorrow morning at 9:30, and then again Sunday morning at 9:30. Tell your friends and ask them to listen. And I'd like to thank Father Paul Hartmann, the president of Catholic Memorial High School, Father Philip Bogacki, the pastor at Christ King Parish in Wauwatosa, and Rob Bowman, who is the appeal director for the Catholic Stewardship Appeal this year. And as we go forward with our day into our weekend, we do so with prayer. Archbishop?
And, we'll encompass the prayer around the missionary journey of St. Paul. St. Paul did his missionary journey dependent upon the communities who funded him. We kind of forget that. His letter to the Philippians was writing to the Philippians who had supported him so much, the Macedonian community had supported him so much in his journey. So in thanksgiving for all those who support our parishes, who support our schools, who support the activities of the Archdiocese, we offer this prayer to Mary, who is the mother of the Church. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Archbishop Listecki. Thank you to our listeners. I'm Bob Bennis, and we remind you this weekend and always to walk and see with God's eyes.
This has been Living Our Faith with Archbishop Jerome Listecki and co-host Bob Bennis. Join us again next week for the latest news, important issues, and stories of Catholics living their faith in the Archdiocese of Milwaukee.